On April 11th, 2011, Edge retired from in-ring competition from the WWE after being a fixture in the company for years. The announcement left the wrestling world stunned, and it came when Edge was still in the prime of his career. The wrestling world was losing a true legend, and it came during a time when many stars of the Ruthless Aggression era turned to a part-time schedule or they just left the WWE as a whole. He, alongside Christian, the Hardys, and Dudleys, changed the game for tag team wrestling. After that, Edge branched off into singles competition and became positioned as one of WWE's future stars. He won the first ever Money in the Bank, and for all my fellow Ruthless Aggression era kids, you guys know how much he screwed everything up for us. Just when something good was happening, out came Edge. Just when you thought your boy John Cena was about to win, out came Edge. He became one of the company's biggest bad guys, not just in kayfabe, but outside of it too, when he made the most G move by stealing Matt Hardy's girl while he was injured. I mean, boys. This got him more heat when Matt Hardy left the company. He was part of the SmackDown 6, he gave us banger after banger for years and years, and this was it. All the titles, all the legendary matches, all the times he ruined everything for us as a kid, it was all gone come April 11th, 2011. He went into the Hall of Fame, had appearances here and there, and we'd accepted it. Edge would never come back to pro wrestling because it just wasn't physically possible. He told us he'd be paralyzed if he took another wrong move. 9 years had passed and we were at the 2020 Royal Rumble, and then at number 21,
you think you know me?
The wrestling world rejoiced. The arena was losing its mind. Social media was blowing up. The rated R superstar was home. Edge was back in one of the most emotional moments in WWE history. The man who we thought would never wrestle again was back hitting spears, and since his return, he's been one of not only the best performers in the WWE, but in the entire wrestling business. Here is the genius of Edge. When someone has lost something very dear to them, they do everything in their power to get it back. For Edge, it was wrestling. When that April day came and he said goodbye, he lost a piece of him. Absence made him realize just how much more he loved the business than he did before. Edge in the early 2000s was a solid talker on the mic. He was easy to hate, and his antics in the ring only added heat to that. But since he's returned, his verbal skills have been next level. When Edge speaks in the ring, you can't help but listen to his every word. He delivers them with a passion. He uses his mannerisms to match what he's saying on the mic, and it comes across beautifully on TV. Just look at Edge when he was talking to Randy Orton. He'd make those psychotic looks into the camera, he'd yell and scream sentences at the top of his lungs, and it all worked perfectly. All that did was make you feel like you were genuinely listening to a man and not a character. And that is when wrestling is at its best. When it makes you immersed in the story, and Edge's promos, they just do that. His delivery and the way he makes things come across is executed beautifully, and it's something that stars of today really fail to do because it just comes out really flat and fake. My second point is a weird one, and that is his neck. We know that Edge's neck is beyond f***ed up. He's had a triple fusion done on it and all these other medical terms that I have no clue what they mean. So when Edge competes, there's this uneasy feeling in his matches. When he hits the mat, when he delivers a high impact move, or when someone is targeting his neck, you watch the match from behind your fingers. And in some uneasy way, that make his matches even more anticipated. On one end, you're excited to see him compete, and on the other, there's that looming fear of his neck. Thankfully, we know that Edge's neck is good to go because WWE is really harsh with who they will and won't clear. But because it's been documented so much, in some weird way, it's just part of Edge now. Let's talk about his matches. How is it even possible that this man left WWE and 9 years later at 45 managed to squeeze out better matches than he did when he was in his 30s? Just look at the matches. Edge versus Randy Orton at Backlash, a 40 plus minute epic. Edge was busting out all these technical holds, submissions, moves of WWE legends. Then you have Edge vs Rollins at SummerSlam, Edge vs Reigns at Money in the Bank. They've all been bangers. It's the competitor's job to produce in the ring and keep themselves in great shape, and Edge has delivered in all areas. Another thing to appreciate is just how much he's there. Granted, you could label him a part-timer, but he's been in WWE a majority of the time since he's been back. And that is something you just have to appreciate. He doesn't have to be there, but he is. Like, what other part-timer is competing in matches on Raw and SmackDown? Him being around so much only helps bring eyes to the people he's working with, and that brings me to his stories. Yeah, you could throw up some bland ass story, have people target Edge's neck, but no. Edge makes sure that that doesn't happen. He makes sure that his storyline is consistent, it leaves the consumer wanting more, and it's character oriented. Ever since his return, Edge has single-handedly made his program the most interesting program in WWE. When he was facing off with Randy Orton, that feud was personal, didn't need any titles. Randy attacked Edge's wife and he was going after Edge's neck. You don't need a title to go after, just go after Edge's neck, and that makes things so personal. When he was feuding with Roman, that was based on a story of triumph after he won the Royal Rumble, and those promos just hit so hard. When he's feuding with Rollins, the story is about how those two parallel each other, and Seth again going after Edge's neck. It's GOAT tier storytelling that gets you immersed in the story, and for a time, you can just relax and you know you're in good hands with Edge. It's all coming from him. Edge is the one who's making these feuds feel real, and he doesn't need titles to present us character-driven stories. Even when I was at SummerSlam a few weeks ago, we unfortunately didn't get any special entrances. Even though they tried to make us believe that this was WrestleMania level, nothing. But no, out came Edge in his Brood entrance to give us a spectacle. And you have to attribute it all to the man behind Edge, and that is Adam Copeland. So just enjoy it. I wanted to make this video because I saw a lot of Edge slander online. People are like, he's taking away opportunities, and I'm like, first of all, I have no idea who he's taking opportunities away from. He's making SmackDown even better than it is. So that's one thing. People saying he's a part-timer and all this, I'm like, no. Don't forget just how amazing he's been since his return. Don't forget all the amazing moments he's given you throughout the years. And don't forget how much of a pro wrestling genius this man is. He just understands sports entertainment to a T. You don't know how many more years are left for Edge, how many more feuds are left, how many more matches are left. So just sit back, relax, and let one of the best performers in the wrestling business blow you away with his storytelling and amazing matches. As a child, you hated this man, but as a man, you can't give him anything more than respect.